Now, did you ever notice that the impacts of our service projects are to improve health and the environment, advance peace, provide education, and alleviate poverty? Did you notice that grants available through the Rotary Foundation fund projects that improve club membership, fellowship, and service, and enhance further giving to the foundation? Did you ever notice that the Rotary Foundation serves to assure Rotarians continue to do good in the world? Tonight, we will learn about the Foundation's impact on district and global activities. It's my pleasure to introduce our speakers tonight. Our first district speaker is Cindy Horneman, our District Foundation Chair. She held many positions in the Mass Rotary Club and served District 7430 as past district governor, past chair of the group Study Exchange, Friendship Exchange, Foundation grants, and international service. Cindy has had over 25 years senior executive experience in operations and human resources, primarily in manufacturing. She's a BS from Penn State and an MBA from Gannon University. Our second district speaker is Katie Farrell, our district annual fund coordinator. She is past president of the Warminster Club. She served the district as a district conference organizer and foundation area coordinator. Katie has over 35 years experience in healthcare, specifically strategic assessment, planning, resource management, and capital project development. She is currently the Chief Administrative Officer of Jefferson Lansdale Hospital. She got her BS from Delaware Valley College and an MBA from LaSalle University. She serves on the board of the Greater Harleysville and North Penn Senior Services. Our international speaker is Rebecca Silber. She works for the Rotary Foundation. She's the annual fund giving officer for Zone 32. She has 15 years of development experience and has worked as a fundraiser, volunteer manager, and donor event planner for nonprofits large and small in both Chicago, Illinois, and Gainesville, Florida, where she attended the University of Florida. Working at the Rotary Foundation has fulfilled a career dream of working for an organization that is not only well respected, but is also known internationally for its commitment to making the world a better place through service above self. Rebecca feels strongly about building bridges between Rotarians and the Foundation so they can experience a deep sense of fulfillment and accomplishment through their generosity and service. It is now my pleasure to ask Cindy Horneman and Katie to begin.
Good evening, everyone. Is this exciting? It is Rotary Foundation Month. Have you heard that before? Well, we're into November and Rotary Foundation Month. Let's start out by taking a look at our foundation and a little bit of its start. So does that get you in the mood? So let's take a look at our Rotary Foundation's mission. It's quite simple. It really enables us to do good in the world. And that's key because in the world, we advance goodwill and peace through the support of all of our projects. So really, let's take a look at the ways we can give. There are a number of ways. We call them channels to give. There's, of course, the Polio Plus Fund, which is also now called End Polio Now. We then have supporting the foundation today through our annual fund, and you'll hear the word share. And then we have the Endowment Fund, which helps secure our tomorrow. And let's look at our causes and our areas of focus. Every project that we in Rotary do, if you think about it, really falls into one of these key 7 areas, whether it's a local project or whether it's an international project. We're very pleased this year to start our new cause called Protecting the Environment. And in our district, we have also initiated an environmental committee with representatives from members of many parts of the district who will be initiating projects. So how does giving to the foundation work? You're going to see a chart, and it looks complicated. I tend to think very simple. Basically, how it works is this. When you as a Rotarian, Rotary clubs, and others contribute, you contribute to the annual fund, or let's say the endowment. Rotary then invests our earnings for 3 years. Those earnings then come back to us, 50% in what are called DDF. We have a lot of acronyms in Rotary, or district designated funds. The other 50% goes into the World Fund, which we then utilize for our global grants and matching. And that takes us to our Rotary program funding. So it's really simple. You give money, we get it back for our projects. Now let's talk about some more ways that we can give and recognitions that we get in Rotary. Again, we have a lot of acronyms, something called E-Ray, which is every Rotarian every year. We ask that if you are able, that every Rotarian contributes at least $100 a year to our annual fund. Our annual fund, which we just talked about, is also called Share, because those funds are shared with us. We then have what was called, based on one of our founders, the Paul Harris Society. The Paul Harris Society is a method of recognition. And when you contribute at least $1,000 to the Rotary Foundation, you become a member of Paul Harris. And those are cumulative earnings. When you contribute at least $1,000 a year, you are considered a Paul Harris Society member. Every time you contribute $1 to the Rotary Foundation, you receive what's called points. Those are recognition points. They build up over your lifetime, and those can be used to help other people encourage foundation giving. There's then a way that you can make a bequest or be a benefactor. That's what we talked about, endowments for the future. So should you wish, you can designate monies in your will or in an account specifically for Rotary. There's also something that's happened over the last couple of years, which is really exciting, called Rotary Direct. Rotary Direct is a program that you can give and we'll say forget about it. You can have money deducted directly from your bank account or directly to a charge card. You can do it monthly, you can do it weekly, you can do it yearly. And if you give at least $85 a month to the Rotary Foundation through Rotary Direct or another, that will make you get the $1,000 toward the Paul Harris Society. So there's a lot of great ways to give. Let's take a look at our worldwide impact in Rotary. Just in 2019-2020, in our district grants alone, which is any project that is $30,000 or less in budget. We've done almost 500 district grants around the world. In the last year, because of COVID, Rotary sponsored district response grants for disasters, and that was $8.5 million. Our district participated in many of the response grants, which we are very proud of. In the global world, which is projects that is in excess of $30,000, we had over 1,300 global grants around the world. I mean, wow, what an impact our Rotary Foundation has. Now let's take a look at what our district contributions are and how do we use contributions in our district. And for that, I'm going to introduce to you Katie Farrell, who is our annual fund chair. Katie.
Thank you, Cindy. Good evening, everyone. On this slide, you see the total contributions we've made in our district in the last 3 years. Usually for our annual fund, you can see that we reach greater than $200,000. And the basic premise here is the more we raise, the more projects we can do. So of course, our goal is to raise additional funds for the annual fund so that we can use them toward grant projects. Next slide, please. So in the last 3 years, we've done 126 district grants. Some of these, as you can imagine, naturally, have been about community development and food insecurity. Those have been the highest percentages in the last couple of years because of COVID. But you can see they're nicely spread out amongst a number of our areas of focus. Next slide, please. So how can your club get involved? Well, as Cindy mentioned, there's a lot of ways to give. We can ask our clubs to participate in, campaigns. We can have certain fundraising events that are specific for annual fund donation. We can sponsor speakers to come in and talk to our clubs about the different ways of giving, such as the benefactor or bequest type donation, or Rotary Direct. Rotary Direct is such a wonderful, simple, and easy way to give. Set it and forget it, and you will eventually, after a year of $85 a month, be eligible for Paul Harris. Next slide, please. Remember the overall theme: more contributions to our annual fund means more projects and more impact. And after all, that's what Rotary is all about. We're here to do good in the world, and that's what our annual fund allows us to do.
Thank you, Katie. Now we have an exciting announcement. So on Tuesday, November 23rd, we are announcing our own Rotary District Rotary Foundation Giving Day, for celebrating Foundation Month. So all you have to do is go out to the Rotary District 7430.org website, click on donate. It's right on the front page, and let's make our contribution count. On that day, just as if you donated regularly, each donation will be matched with 100 foundation recognition points. You will be credited with that donation as well as your club. So let's support our Rotary Foundation. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Cindy and Katie. That was great. Why don't we open this to some questions? I saw one in the chat box, but does anyone have a live question you want to ask? Marlene?
Steve just asked if the video I just showed, Steve, just send me an email and I'll send you that link. That's different than we showed at the meeting.
Yeah, Rebecca gave a link to Vimeo.
Okay.
That'll be perfect.
You're quick, Rebecca. I'll tell you.
That's one of my favorites. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites too.
Yeah. So I always have that on hand. Yeah. Happy to help.
While we're on the subject of videos, is there a short video, 1 to 2 minutes that showcases or highlights the 7 area of focus?
It's so great that you asked that because I currently have that question out to the team that works on those types of things. I got the exact same question earlier today. So my quick answer to you is I don't know. I'm waiting to hear about that. I haven't seen one recently,
Yeah.
so I'm curious if somebody's working on it. So yeah, I will make a note that if I get that back in the next day or so that I'll share it with you all as well.
Is there a place, I was just on the RI website over the weekend, but I was on the foundation website, but is there a place that kind of lists all the videos or that I can scroll through, maybe a download, and I imagine I can download one, right? If I log in as a member?
So let me see if the Vimeo, that link.
Yeah,
that
if you search on
Yeah.
Rotary videos, you will get some on both Vimeo as well as YouTube. I know you're a little new, Rebecca, so we've been searching for a long time.
Yeah, and I know
There's
that
a couple good
Vimeo,
ones.
there's plenty too. Yeah.
So they're not going to be on the RI website. They're going to be on YouTube.
Some
on YouTube, some on Vimeo. Yeah. And then Brand Center has a few as well, but you really have to go digging for those.
Okay, so I don't even go on the RI website. I just go on to a search engine and or maybe to YouTube directly. Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Michael, I have a few, say in the pocket, and I'll take a look tomorrow. And you're looking for foundation videos, and in particular, 7 areas of focus.
Yes.
Okay, that I don't think I have, but I'll take a look and see what I do have.
I'm going to check
Michael,
tonight.
I have a couple as well, Michael. I've been keeping them. Stephen, you had something, you were raising your hand, or were you stretching?
I was going to say, I looked in the Rotary RI site, and you find some things, but if you Google it, there's some club out there that's done a pretty good job that has put things together. So you might just Google foundation, whatever, areas of service. It's going to be hard because the environment's pretty new.
Pretty new, exactly. That's why I asked the question, because I'm sure I can find one with the 6, but one with 7 would be very helpful. I did take a screenshot though of the 7 that you showed in the PowerPoint presentation, our causes, area of focus. So I can at least put that up and show people tomorrow what as a reminder as to what the 7 areas of focus are.
Michael, I'll send you this presentation tonight when we're done.
Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you, Cindy.
There is a Google site out there that does list the 7 areas of focus. I have accessed it before, and it's very explanatory. I hope I saved it. If I did, I could send it to you if I saved it.
Oh, thank you.
It's a very nice site too, Gail.
Gail, okay, Gail Rogers. Okay, thank you.
So Marlene, are there any questions in the chat box or that we could ask to our district speakers?
You're
Did you
muted.
unmute yourself? Unmute.
I didn't realize I was muted. I apologize. Yeah, how do recognition points work?
So every time, and I explained that you give $1 to the Rotary Foundation, you are awarded with points. It's a recognition points, and they are cumulative throughout your lifetime. If you give $1,000, you have 1,000 recognition points. If you give 10,000, you get 10,000 recognition points. Those points can be used to help other Rotarians or recognize somebody in the community, which what's called a Paul Harris Award, if you would like. Or let's say you have someone in your club who's given $800 to the foundation and they're just short this year of $200 to become a Paul Harris. You could award them 200 points.
Okay, and what fund in the Rotary Foundation provides money for Peace Scholarships?
The Peace Scholars are provided through our district designated funds. In our district, it's our global grants budget.
Okay, How do we find out if you have been accumulating recognition points? How do you find out how many you have? Where do you go to check that out?
Okay, everybody has the opportunity to get their own My Rotary account. So if you're not into My Rotary, go to myrotary.org and you can register. When you register through myrotary.org, right on the front page of the website will be your name and your account and all of your cumulative earnings.
Okay.
Or recognition, we should say, not earnings.
Okay. And how does a Paul Harris Fellow elect to become a member of the Paul Harris Society?
They can choose by donating more funds. They can go to their club foundation share, and they can also go to My Rotary and search on Paul Harris Society, and there's a form they fill out and send in.
It's about making the commitment, right, Cindy, to make that $1,000 contribution every year.
In most instances in our district, a person interested will talk to their club president privately or their club foundation share. You can always call the Rotary Support Center as well.
Okay. Where is the number for the Rotary Support Center?
Go to myrotary.org and it'll be up there.
Okay. Okay,
It's
Bobby.
also easy to remember because it's 866-9-Rotary. Yeah.
Okay, Bob, I think we're good.
Okay, that's great. So I want to thank Cindy and Katie for going through that. And every time I hear it, I learn something new, and I really appreciate that. Our next speaker, Katie, or rather our next speaker, Rebecca Silber, we would normally just take a 2-minute break right now. And if you care to, let's do that. And we'll resume at about 7:36.
You said 7:36?
That's more than 2 minutes.
I have
7:26.
Yeah,
7:26.
okay, yeah. Or we can just keep going. Maybe we don't need a break. Well, go ahead.
Okay, Matt, we'll be flexible and we'll continue. Rebecca, are you ready to move forward?
I sure am. Let me start sharing my screen. Oh, goodness. There we are. Oh, good evening. I hope everybody is still around and didn't walk away for a second or two, but I'm going to keep on going. So yes, thank you so much for inviting me to join you all today. And of course, thank you for the warm welcome. As DG Bob mentioned, my name is Rebecca Silber. I am the annual giving officer for Zone 32, which of course includes your district 7430, where you all are. I should also mention I actually was working with zones 30 and 31, the Heart of America. So I've been an annual giving officer for 2 years prior, and I actually worked on a different team as well at the Rotary Foundation, doing recognition for Arch Clump Society members when I first joined Rotary. So it's been only a little bit over a month with you all, but I have been working with all kinds of Rotarians for over 3 years now, almost 4 years. Oh my goodness. So yes, so today I'd like to speak with you about the Rotary Foundation, of course, because it is Rotary Month. So what else is there? And the impact that the foundation is able to have because of donors like you. But of course, before I begin, I'd like to express my very deep gratitude and appreciation for your service and for your generosity. Having worked at Rotary for nearly 4 years now, I am continuously impressed and inspired by the work that you all do every single day. So you'll hear me say thank you a lot, but I hope that you really feel my gratitude and appreciation, because I do thoroughly mean it. So thank you. So I won't go into too much of the foundation's mission because, of course, PPG Cindy already has. But I really do think that the words helps Rotarian, that we help Rotarians, are the most important words. Really, we are here, to support the work that each of you are doing, locally in your district, as well as, of course, around the world. And of course, in order to do that, we raise funds for the initiatives that are important to you and to your community. So, of course, in support of the mission, we do have those 7 areas of focus. And I know you know them, but I love going over them. Providing clean water, sanitation, and hygiene, fighting disease, supporting education, saving mothers and children, promoting peace, growing local economies, and of course, our newest area of focus, protecting the environment. But, as much as we have all of these different overarching focuses, I want you to take just a moment and think about what your area of focus is. What's that cause that you are most passionate about? What keeps you coming back to your Rotary Club meetings, and of course, continuing to be a Rotarian? What makes you keep coming back to your service? I will say it many, many times. The world is in great need of problem solvers, and I do thoroughly believe that as Rotarians, you are all uniquely positioned to be those problem solvers and to create positive change in the world around you. So tonight, and of course, all Foundation Month, I'd like you to think of where you'd most like to use your influence as a Rotarian, and think of ways in which Rotary, and of course the Rotary Foundation, can help you achieve those goals. So yes, just like Cindy was mentioning, the annual fund share program is probably the best way to make sure that your dollars go exactly to what you want to do and what you want to accomplish through your Rotary work. So yes, that share program is where your gift is invested for that 3-year period, and those funds are then returned to your district as district designated funds, or DDF, and then also a portion of those funds are are used as World Fund dollars. And those World Fund dollars are used in large part to fund global grants, scholarships like the Peace Fellow scholarships you were talking about, and other programs as well. Really, I feel like the Rotary Foundation is very unique in that members decide what to do with those funds that are returned through this cycle. So many organizations receive contributions and then spend them without much input from members or from donors. And that 3-year cycle, this share cycle, really makes it so that your district can plan ahead and put those dollars to work and to take action on those issues that are important to you and your communities and fellow members. And so I know that Cindy was talking about some figures from 2 years ago, but we actually have some fresh numbers I'll make sure to share with you as well. So basically, I think the really cool one is that over the past 100 years, so the foundation's been around for over 100 years now. We had our centennial in 2016-17. The foundation has spent over $4 billion on enabling Rotarians to implement these life-changing sustainable projects that you all take on. And then last Rotary year, fiscal year 2021, there were 2,066 global grants. That's over a 50% increase from the prior year that were awarded, equaling $130 million spent. And then, of course, we had 467 district grants that were $31.1 million US, and then 55 disaster response grants awarded, equaling $3.1 million. And since we do have some friends from Canada tonight, I do only speak in US dollars. I'm so sorry. So really the reason I like to talk about these big numbers is just to show really the vast impact that is made by the dollars that you donate every single day. And talking about that vastness, I also wanted to take a moment to show you how contributions from countries all over the world stack up. So this is just a list of the top 10 giving countries in the world. And of those top 10, you can see just how many people and how many dollars are raised by just these 10 top countries alone. I think it's incredibly impressive. And of course, while the US continues to hold the top spot for dollars and for donors that give, there are so many people all over the world who continue to support the incredible efforts of the Rotary Foundation. And so again, so in 2021, 33% of Rotarians supported the annual fund. So that's nearly 400,000 Rotarians who were supporting that fund. And of course, we're always looking to grow that number. If I had my way, of course, that number would be 100%. But really what this all comes down to is that the members support the foundation. You all believe in it and you make these dollars do great work far and wide. So if you were one of those 33% of Rotarians who gave to the annual fund last year, and I bet you are since you're on this call, I want to say thank you. And then make sure that when you tell your Rotary story, you're also sharing that feeling of why you feel so strongly about supporting the Rotary Foundation, you know, so we can get that number to 100% of Rotarians giving. You know, and when you're thinking about that, you know, is it because you've participated in a project that touched your heart? You know, maybe someone you know was a recipient of a Rotary scholarship that changed their lives forever. I was just listening to a news story on the radio just a week or so ago, and the woman said, you know, I really would not have been where I was without a Rotary scholarship and the support of my community. And that wasn't even a Rotary themed anything. It was just, you know, apropos of nothing. And it really made my heart warm. So, you know, think about that. Has your club participated in a district grant and helped somebody close to home, you know, whether it's a food bank or, you know, a school in your community? So whatever your reason for supporting the foundation, I really encourage you to share that with fellow Rotarians to make sure that you're spreading that spirit of giving. And that's, of course, why I'm here today, to make sure you're sharing that spirit and that you know how deeply appreciative we are of all you do. And so, yeah, so I like to always just talk about a few examples of, you know, great ways that grants are being, you know, put to work all over the world. So this one, and actually the next one I'll talk about too, are of course pretty close to home. Or actually the next one's not close to home, but it was organized by a US club and district. But this one is in the US. Basically, this one is from Topeka, Kansas, Rotary Club of Topeka, and they joined with other clubs in their area with the support of their district, District 5710 and District 3141 in Mumbai in India, as well as some other generous donors. And with these funds and with this partnership that they put together, they were able to open up the YWCA of Northeast Kansas's Center for Safety and Empowerment Human Trafficking Day Center. And so I really like talking about this because this center helps human trafficking victims by offering a safe space to take care of basic needs like eating a warm meal, taking a shower, washing clothes, charging cell phones, and getting support from on-site staff, and basically just helping with daily living. Of course, this is noteworthy because it shows a great use of funds generated by that annual fund share program. This day center simply could not be a success without partnerships forged by Rotarians in Kansas and around the world. And I like to talk about this too, because I know we talk about a lot of global grants and, you know, dollars being spent all over the world, but I think it's also important to remember that global grants can be spent here in the US as well. And then this is a multi-year water project in Tanzania, made possible by the generosity and service, of course, of Rotarians like you. So this one was organized by Rotarians in Ames, Iowa, in partnership with members from the Rotary Club of Same in Tanzania. And they've been building the groundwork for water projects in Tanzania for many, many years. In 2015, they began by working to develop a water system in the Kagogo village, and they followed that with a subsequent water project the next year in 2016 to deliver water and provide training in the Masandare region. And then a project just last year in 2020 was established to bring water supply and delivery in 3 more villages, and also provide training in water supply management and in water hygiene and sanitation. And I like to talk about this particular series of grants because I really think it shows a great use of district designated funds from districts all over the world. They all came together, districts in Italy, US, and Tanzania. There were some World Fund dollars that were matched, of course. And then both district and designated funds and World Fund dollars were, of course, also available because of annual fund contributions. I also like to talk about this grant because there were, of course, Rotary clubs that made contributions, individual donors chipped in as well. And then there was a grocery store chain. I don't know if you have it out east, but we have it in the Midwest. It's called Hy-Vee. And so it was a big, broad partnership on almost every level that you can imagine to make sure that these people in Tanzania had access to safe and clean water. And then another really lovely part of this particular series of grants is, of course, they have that eye on sustainability and making sure that these projects don't just come in and leave and, people are just left to their own devices. There's training involved, and they make sure that these projects and this really vital water is going to be available for years and years to come. So that's just 2 examples of some global grants. And I didn't want to speak on any that you did because I think you all are way better at speaking about your own global grants because you have worked on them. But yes, I just wanted to just call your attention to these 2 wonderful things that have been done with Rotary dollars, both, close to home in Kansas, as well as, a little bit farther away in Tanzania. And then, of course, it is Rotary, so I would be absolutely remiss if I didn't speak about the fantastic work that's been done towards polio eradication efforts. So on the top left, you'll see a map of the world where you can see all of the countries where polio was endemic in the 1980s when Rotary started its fight against the polio disease. And then on the bottom right, you can see the 2 current endemic countries, which are Afghanistan and Pakistan. We get our numbers weekly, and as of last week, the number of cases of wild polio virus reported this year, and we're in November, so it's almost the end of the year. The total number continues to be 2, and that is 1 case reported in Afghanistan and 1 case reported in Pakistan. And of course, this is a fantastic improvement over last year, where we actually I had to do the math just a little bit ago, 140 polio cases, about 50 in one country and 80-ish in the other country. So yes, incredible strides have been made just in 1 year alone. Now, we've been saying it for such a long time, but now more than ever, we are seeing that the end of this terrible, terrible disease is very near. So when we do eradicate polio, which we know we will do, it will be one of only 2 human viruses that we have eradicated from the planet. And that is, of course, thanks to Rotarians, thanks to you. Of course, we are also happy to continue to celebrate recent strides in polio eradication. In 2019, the type 3 wild polio virus was certified eradicated from the world. And also in the fall of 2020, the African region was certified polio-free. So of course, we've made great progress towards ending the impact of this terrible disease. And of course, we remain committed to ridding the world of polio. Last year alone, we immunized 400 million children against polio, which of course has helped to keep the numbers as low as they are. And we can only do this with your dedication and your support. And then just a little bit more about polio and how it's helping us, or our work towards ending polio and how it's helping us in the COVID-19 fight. Lots of that infrastructure that we've built over 30 years of the polio fight has really helped with COVID-19 efforts. This includes hundreds of thousands of frontline health workers that have been trained and a disease surveillance network that is helping to respond to that COVID-19 epidemic or pandemic. Some of the same activities that are important to polio eradication are also applicable to the COVID-19 response efforts. While working on polio, workers are also supporting the COVID-19 response by coordinating responses to the outbreak, educating communities on protecting themselves with hand washing, things of that nature, investigating and reporting suspected cases, training workers on detecting the disease, and then of course, tracing the contacts of those who test positive. All of these activities are routinely carried out for polio and now are being done for COVID-19 as well. I also personally know of many Rotarians who in the past have attended national immunization days for polio eradication and now are volunteering and stepping up in their own communities to help with vaccination efforts there. So just something I wanted to point out that, our work maybe sometimes starts one place, but of course, as Rotarians, you always are very, very eager to pick that up and continue your efforts elsewhere when needed. So just love to talk about that. And then as I wrap up for the evening, I wanted to just give a shout out. We've talked about a few of these things as well. Always, there's so many different ways to give to the Rotary Foundation. You can always send in a check. There are forms for that. But you can also, give online at myrotary.org. I know we've spoken about that. If you don't have a My Rotary account, make sure to sign up so you can always keep track of your giving. And then, of course, I want to talk about Rotary Direct. So Rotary Direct, online giving, all of that, we have actually seen a 31% increase over the last year. So we love to see it. We know that many people prefer to give online, and it continues to be the fastest, securest way to do so. So Rotary Direct, of course, is that recurring giving program. Like Cindy mentioned, if you give that $85 a month, you end up giving $1,000 for the year, and you're a Paul Harris Society member if you choose to do so. And then there's some other, I think, very fun things that we're doing as well now. So you can now start an online fundraiser at raise.rotary.org. People do that, to celebrate weddings, or some have been going on very large and long hikes and said, oh, chip in and sponsor me as I walk across, this trail. It's a really great way to just kind of rally all of your supporters behind a great cause. And then I always have to give a special shout out to that Rotary Support Center. You can call them, you can email them, and they can help you give in almost any way that you can imagine. So yes, so that's just some quick information about how you can give to Rotary. And then I promise this is my final informational slide. I always have to make sure to talk about the Rotary Foundation's Stellar Charity Navigator rating. We're so very proud to have been rated the highest rating, 4 stars, for 13 years in a row now. And I think, Bob, maybe that's what the 4 stars behind you represent. I'm assuming is that 4 stars for the Charity Navigator. And of course, this is just a snapshot of our efforts in fiscal responsibility, but we have proven over the years to be among the most competitive of our peers in the area. Only 1% of charities evaluated have received that 4-star evaluation 10 years in a row. And we've, of course, now received it 13 years in a row. So we're very proud. And I love to share this information because it really shows how far your dollars go when you do contribute to the foundation. We know there are so very many places that you can donate your hard-earned resources, and we take the responsibility of stewarding your funds very, very seriously. So when you make a gift to the foundation, we know, or I hope you know, that your dollars are doing the most good. And really with that, I just want to end my presentation by saying thank you. I know you all do so very much, and you could be spending your evening anywhere else, but I really just want to say I appreciate you being here. I appreciate the work that you all do. And of course, I appreciate you supporting the Rotary Foundation. And with that, I think we have time for questions, correct?
Yeah, let's ask some questions.
Yeah. Oh, and I could probably stop sharing my screen.
Good job. Okay,
There
thank
we
you,
go.
Rebecca.
Of course.
Are there any questions in the chat box?
Rebecca, what percentage of district designated funds or how are the percentages of district designated funds split between district and global grants?
Yes, so I might have to defer a little bit to your district leaders, but mostly what ends up happening is that is at the guidance of your district leaders. So you all have, that up to 50% to spend for district designated funds, but I know that there's a little bit more math that goes into it on the district level. So Cindy or Bob, do you want to speak on that at all?
So what happens is we are allowed to determine each year what percentage of district designated funds or our giving goes to both global grants and district grants. Rotary allows us to give up to 50% of our funds to our district grants. Our district leadership has consistently delivered on half of our monies being spent on district grants because we want the most possible to go back to clubs, mostly for local projects. So we do an even 50-50 split. Other districts make other choices, but we want the money to come back to our clubs because more money means more projects.
So what percentage of the annual fund donations come from Paul Harris Society members?
Yes, so last year that number was 17.8%. So nearly 18% comes from Paul Harris Society members for that annual fund. Yeah, it's quite impressive.
That is a big number.
Yeah.
Must the donation to the annual fund be marked share to return to the district as district designated funds?
Yes. So in order for that DDF to be spun off, is the way we always talk about it in my team. Yes, that has to be to the share program. So when you are donating online, or if you have that, 1, 2, 3, the contribution form, you can very clearly write annual fund share on there, check the little box, and it'll go towards that share cycle that does come back as district designated funds.
Okay.
It looks like Michael McCarthy might have a question. I'm seeing some hands raised.
The same designation applies for contributions to the endowment fund as well. You want to make sure that it carries that share designation so that the earnings will come back, at least a portion of the earnings will come back to the district for the district to use.
Yes, that is true as well.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay.
Marlene, any more questions?
I think we could do, well, how about contributions made through raise.rotary.org? They get credited toward recognition points of the donor?
Yes, so since all of the funds on there, it's World Fund, Polio Fund, I can't remember if there's another one on there. Oh, and all of the annual or areas of focus, they're all on there, and they all generate those points, those recognition points. Okay. I should say though that share is not on Raise for Rotary, because there really isn't any way to figure out which way to sign off that DDF, because does it go to the person who's giving it or the person who's raising the funds? So we've decided to just keep it to World Fund, Polio, and the areas of focus for Raise for Rotary. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I just have 2 quick comments. One, I did find on YouTube a video. It's 1minute and 40 seconds on the 7 areas of focus. It looks pretty good. And second thing, Cindy, you try to send me your PowerPoint presentation for tonight. It says I need.
Okay, I'll do it again. Okay.
And Noel, you said I need. They say I need an access code or something like that. If you can just
I'll
send
get
me
it.
that screenshot for the 7 areas of focus, that'd be great.
Okay, will do.
Thank you.
For you,
Hey,
Michael, anything.
Thank
Michael,
you.
would you please put the YouTube link in the chat box so that we could all have access to that video?
I'll do that right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that as well.
So I have a question for Rebecca. We keep hearing about how great the investment thoughtfulness is at the Rotary Foundation. What kind of rates of return do we get on annual fund investments?
Yeah, so last year, so of course it depends on the year and the market, but last year it was 6%. It was actually a little over 6%. And then the year prior, just to show you kind of the fluctuation, it was closer to 2%. But I think the thing that's most important is that those dollars that we do make on those investments is what keeps it so that you all can get more dollars back in that 3-year cycle. So we spend over 90% on programs in the foundation, which is really quite stellar in the world of nonprofit, spending. And it really is because this is my kind of soapbox, is we invest it so that you get that money back, that principal back, and then we can take those earnings and use it towards operational costs, and you don't have to worry about that coming out of your contribution.
That's great. So we saw a slide earlier that showed how funds, DDF comes to the district and it's divided between global and district grants. How does the World Fund contribute to global grants?
Yeah, I think the most obvious way is there's that 80% match on DDF towards world grants. And then, that's probably the biggest one. Of course, we have all kinds of scholarships and other programs that are funded through World Fund as well, but that's probably the biggest one that people know is that 80% match.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions from people in the audience? If not, I want to thank Rebecca Silber for joining us tonight. I also want to thank.
Mohana has her hand raised.
She does?
Yes, thank you. I'm so bad.
Yeah, hi. I just want to say thank you for all the great presentation, and I want to show you these 3 pins here. One is Paul Harris pin. The other one is Bob visited our club and I gave the answer for his question. So I got another pin, and my president pin is here. So I'm honored with all that. Thank you so much.
That's great, Milana.
Thank you.
That's great. So listen, thanks to Rebecca, Katie, and Cindy for presenting to us tonight. Please join us for the next Showcase Tuesday on December 14th about the December Rotary theme, disease prevention and treatment. Our speaker will be Dr. Noel Alita, a physician in the Philippines. He will speak about malaria eradication, which was the first project approved under the Project of Scale grant, and whose vaccine development has implications for many other diseases. So please have a good night. And remember that this Showcase Tuesday will be available later on a YouTube link. Thank you.